Happy beautiful day. It's Pete Cohen here. It's episode 3 of the Pete Cohen podcast, The Power of Coaching. That's what we're going to be talking about today. But before I start, before you hear the theme tune, I must just tell you very quickly, I made the greatest mistake that any podcaster has ever made. I recorded the podcast and it came out on the wrong microphone and it sounded terrible. And I had put my heart and soul into what I said. And you know what? I could have put it out there, but it would have sounded terrible and it wasn't good enough. And I'm kind of coaching myself here because this podcast is going to blow your mind. Are you ready? Are you ready to really understand how coaching could be the difference in your life that could help you achieve your goals, your dreams, and anything you want to achieve? Well, if you are ready, just get ready for the theme tune. And after that, we will get stuck right in. Let's do this. Not now, but right now. The big question is, how are some people in the world today creating the results they want with their health, wealth, and happiness? What exactly are these people doing? This podcast will give you the answers and inspire you to live the life that you want today. Happy, beautiful day. Happy, beautiful day. I got my cup of coffee right in front of me here. And it's a Saturday afternoon. I got to get my cup of coffee. And I got to say it like coffee because at this time tomorrow, I'm going to be in Boston. And in Boston, they say coffee, huh? I don't know why I'm telling you that, but you might want to have a cup of coffee when, as I'm about to explain to you the power of coaching. Today's podcast is definitely going to give you the opportunity to understand a little bit more about where you are right now, where you want to go, and how a coach could help you. I believe that coaching is the difference. I think everybody needs coaching. I suppose it really depends on what your definition of coaching actually is, and that's one of the things that we're going to look at here today. So I'm going to start off by asking you a few questions. Would that be okay? Which is what good coaches do. They actually ask questions. Are you where you want to be right now? You could say, what do you mean? Well, I'm exactly where I am. What I mean is, are you where you want to be in terms of your health, your wealth, your energy, your relationships, or is there some work to be done? Most people aren't where they want to be. For me personally, I'm. It sounds a bit strange, but I'm never where I want to be. I love where I am, but I'm never where I want to be because there's always somewhere else that I'm going. And I want to explain that to people. That's not like I'm just obsessed with the future so I don't enjoy the now. In fact, the biggest challenge I think that most of us face is to enjoy where we are, but still be moving towards some compelling goals that have some meaning attached to them, where we get to grow and we get to feel some form of fulfillment. Because I believe that human beings, we need to grow, we need to feel fulfilled, we need to achieve, we need goals. The Greeks weren't messing around with this stuff when they said, we are teleological, we need telos, which is goal orientated. Give me a goal. I often say to people, how long, if I could just wave my magic wand and you could have a holiday for as long as you want, how long would you want the holiday to be? And most people say a couple of weeks. A few people will say 6 months, or some people will say the rest of their life, but very few people will, because most people will be itching after being on the beach for a few weeks to do something. And that's kind of like what I want to ask you. What do you want to do? So the first question, are you where you want to be with your health, your well-being, your finances, your relationships? The next question is, do you have goals, dreams, ambitions? And then 2 more questions. Do you believe that your future is unwritten? And do you believe you have the power to change? I mean, these are big questions. And sometimes I don't think people like it when I ask them questions. I think it's quite uncomfortable, especially when your questions can be quite deep and quite like getting to the heart of a person, getting to the crux of you and where you are with your life right now and what it is that you want. And, listening to the Pete Cohen podcast, which is the Inspiration Revolution, it might not be for you. If you're not someone who's just, there are certain things I want to do in my life. The role of a coach is to take someone from where they are to where they want to be. And that's what I do. That's what I've done. And that's what I will continue to do. It's amazing the results that people can get. And I will tell you stories and tell you more stories, but I can tell you stories of what I've done, the people I've worked with, from Olympic athletes to CEOs of large organizations, from everyday people who have completely transformed their life. And I'm not telling you that to boast. I'm telling you that because I've only just got started. And I'm looking for people just like you that do have some goals, some dreams, some aspirations, certain things in your life that you want to achieve. Because if you have those, you've come to the right place. And with the Inspiration Revolution, I'm saying to you, hey, listen, reach out to us. Tell us. Email us, info, I-N-F-O, at mi365.me, info at mi365.me, and say, hey, this is me. This is where I am. This is what I'm working on. If you have questions, again, let us know. We're here to help. There's a series on Netflix called, I think it's called New Amsterdam. And there's a hospital in New York, which I'm going to be in New York on Monday. Maybe I'll go to the hospital. Maybe, who knows? And this medical director basically just says, how can I help you? And a lot of people are taken aback because they're not used to that. And I'm saying to you, how can I help you? If you have some fire in you, and maybe you don't know exactly what you want, but you know you want something, then let's do this. Let's work together over the next few weeks and months, and let's do something truly incredible. Why? As he takes a sip of his coffee, drinking out of a mug that says ITV on it. So for those of you that don't live in the UK, ITV is one of our major television channels. And who would have believed that me, Pete Cohen, would end up being on television, having his own TV shows, having written 19 books, having done so many things, blah, 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 blah. So what about what I've done? It's what I'm going to do. And that's the same question for you. And the reason why I'm being a little bit kind of upfront with all of this and being very firm is that we're going to start a series of 4 podcasts in a couple of weeks. 4 podcasts on how to create the movie of your life. That's one thing we've all got in common. So, right, let's just go back a step. Are you where you want to be with your health, your happiness, your relationships, your finances? You're probably not. There are certain things you probably want to achieve. What are the odds of you achieving those things? The odds are stacked against you based on your past, probably, of having tried to do it, or your past record of actually trying to achieve anything that of importance. And again, I'm not saying this to be harsh. It's just like, let's just wake up and be honest. Are we where we want to be? Do you have goals, dreams, and ambitions? Are you going to achieve them? Maybe, but it's probably unlikely. What's going to seriously put the odds back in your favor? I believe coaching. I believe this podcast could seriously help you. There's loads of people out there, and we now live in a world where it's gone past the people just wanting knowledge. People now want action. They want to do things. And there's so much information out there. But information isn't the answer. Action, it really is the answer. So I do want to help you, give some specific things to do, take you on a journey with me as we help you to evolve and help you to grow. So are you where you want to be? Probably not. Do you have goals, dreams, and ambitions? I'm sure you do. Is your future unwritten? Yes. Do you have the power to change? Yes. Do you have a plan? Probably not. So how could a coach help you? Well, first off, let's look at the alternative here. So one of the books I read many years ago was written by someone who many people know in the personal development space, Mr. Tony Robbins, probably the most famous person in the world of personal development and professional development. And in his book that I read after I finished studying psychology was Awaken the Giant Within. And he talks about this thing about what drives people, pleasure and pain. People love pleasure and people are driven away from pain. So if something's hard, something's difficult, most people just move away from it. that's what drove me for most of my life. But what I'm asking you for is to think about the consequences of your actions of not doing anything about changing. Look, the easy route here is just to carry on doing what you've been doing in the past. It's easy. It doesn't require really very much effort. And I don't know where you'll be if you don't change, but you'll probably be a little bit more uncomfortable than you are now. I believe that most people are uncomfortable. They're just not so uncomfortable because I haven't hit a crisis yet. But in a year's time, you'll be a little bit more uncomfortable. Maybe you'll be a little bit more overweight, more unhealthy, a bit grayer, and your life will be not as long as it is now. In fact, my good friend, Mr. Joe DeSana, the founder of Spartan Races, who's one of my mentors, I heard a podcast with him today where he said, death is the price we pay for life. So make it worth it. I thought, wow, if we paid the price to live, and I believe we have in some way, and death is the price, is the ultimate thing which is going to come, why don't we make it worth it? And I talk about this a lot, that many studies have shown that most people in the Western world don't think about the future and don't think about how great life can be like in the next few weeks or next few months or the next few years. They're just thinking about right here, right now. And the reason I tell you that thing about Tony Robbins is, what is the alternative to not changing? Well, you might want to think about that. You might want to attach a bit of pain to not changing and, not being the greatest mother or father or son or daughter or friend to people, not being as happy or as healthy as you could be. And you say, why are you making me think about this? Well, it just might make you think about why you want to change, that maybe there are things that you want to move towards that would give you pleasure. We are driven by pleasure. And one of the things that Joe DeSana talks about is delaying gratification, which we will be talking about that in future podcasts, because it's absolutely essential to get good at it, because there's so much temptation around. If you can get good at delaying the gratification you get from doing things which give you a hit straight away, I believe you'll live a longer life and you'll spend more vital energy focusing on the things that are going to build the life that you want. And he talks about a very famous study, the marshmallow test that many people have heard about at Stanford, with young children who were shown a marshmallow and said, look, here's a marshmallow. I'm going to leave the room. And if you haven't eaten this marshmallow by the time I come back, you can have 2 marshmallows. And when the teacher came back, most people had eaten it. I definitely would have eaten it after a while. I would have gone through some anguish first. But the ones who resisted, these kids have been followed for over 30 years, have shown to be less likely to be in broken relationships, less likely to be have financial issues. And it really just asks the question about the importance of self-control. And he tried this with his son. He said to his son, hey, son, here's a scoop of ice cream. I'm going to leave the room, and if I come back and you haven't eaten it, you can have 2. So Joe left the room. He came back, and his son said, Dad, what do I have to do to get 15 scoops of ice cream? He clearly hadn't eaten it. And I love that, because what that says to me is someone who's already figured out that there's something much better out there for him, which is bigger than 15 scoops of ice cream. And that's why I ask you to think about, that there's something out there that is so much better than what you have today. And a lot of people call that hope. And we could all say, yeah, but Pete, this and that and the world and the environment and Donald Trump and all these issues which people talk about, and Boris Johnson, and yeah, they're there. But what's going to be the difference that makes the difference? It's people like us that want to strive to make things better. Now, I'm not saying we should all have major goals, to change everything, but to change ourselves, to reinvent ourselves is really what I think we're all here to do. In fact, just so you know, a slight aside, the word coach literally comes from a coach and horses, and apparently from a Hungarian town called Koch, Kotch. I don't know how true that is, but the whole role of a coach is to take someone from where they are to where they want to be. And if you do work with a coach, work with someone who is good at getting people from where they are to where they want to be. I'm not good. I'm fantastic, because if I don't know, if someone comes to me for help and I don't have the answers. In fact, someone came to me the other day who's really struggling with their mental health, really struggling, to the point of not wanting to be here. And they were asking me to help. And I said, look, that's not my area of expertise. But you know what? I know someone who is. So I pointed them to that person. Someone came to me recently with severe relationship challenges, wanting to leave their partner. And it's like, hey, well, you know what? That's not my area of speciality, but I know someone who is. And that's why I'm so good at what I do, because I'm obsessed with solutions. How do we help you get to where it is that you want to go? So you get there and then you want more. You want to achieve more. You want to reinvent. As a coach like me helps you to unlock the potential that you have. So I'm going to be showing up here every single week, supporting people like you. And I encourage you to think about your life and where it is and where it's going. Think of it like a movie, which is what we'll be doing in a few weeks with the 4 Pete Cohen podcasts that are going to focus on creating the movie of your life. Take a moment to think about your life to this point. You've probably lived a few different types of movies. Maybe it's been a disaster. Maybe it's been happy. Maybe it's been a comedy. Maybe it's been an epic adventure. Or maybe it is like it is for most people. It's like a soap opera that just doesn't go anywhere apart from where it's been before. And Star Trek, which was, to boldly go where no man has gone before, if they always went to the same place, people would stop watching. Now, I'm watching your life, and I'm showing up for you here today and saying, hey, come on, you've got potential. I know you've got potential. Let's unlock it. Let me tell you what coaching has done for me. Well, it's really hard to put that into words, but let's start with, I was very sick in my 20s, diagnosed with chronic fatigue, ME. I have loads of energy that you can probably tell, those of you that can feel where I'm coming from. I didn't know how to manage that energy. So I burnt out big time. And there were days where I was not in a good place. I didn't want to be here anymore. And I started working with a coach out of desperation. I worked with this coach for 16 years of my life. Now, he didn't make me better. He just made me aware and gave me the support, gave me the environment, and suggested some things for me to do, which was basically, Pete, take care of Pete for Pete's sake. I had to learn how to take care of myself. So not only did I get over that and go from being really suicidal at times to being in the best place I've ever been in my life. What else did he do for me? Well, his advice helped me sell a business for a few £1 million in 2003. Again, if I hadn't followed his advice, I don't think I would have got anything really for it. And the other thing, which was just incredible, and those of you that know me, his advice helped me save my wife's life. My wife was given 18 months to live, and I asked him for some advice. And he said, find people that are still alive, find out why, and ask her what she's going to do when she gets better. Now, the reason I tell you this is it was great advice, but I didn't have to do anything with it. I could have done nothing and just accepted what had been told. What are you accepting in your life that you have been told, and maybe you're telling yourself? He leaves a pause there for you just to take a moment to reflect. I think there's a lot of living to do, right, for all of us. So if you answer yes to any of those questions, that are you where you want to be? Do you have goals, dreams, and ambitions? Is your future unwritten, and do you have the power to change? What's the plan? Well, you might think the plan is to keep listening to these podcasts, get a pen and paper, start taking some notes, and let's work together. Let me be your coach. Let me help you and go on this epic adventure with you. What do you reckon? Are you up for it? When we start talking about the movie of your life, we'll go through the hero's journey that's in every film, that someone is called to an adventure. They don't want to go. But if they didn't go, no one would have watched the movie. That's boring. Are you ready to go where you haven't gone before? Are you... I was going to say the Star Trek line again. To boldly go where no man has gone before. This is the story of a man or a woman trapped in their own world. Are you ready? I know that most of us could live very long lives. Genetically, we have the disposition to live to about 120 years old. Our body regenerates every 6 times every 20 years. So every 20 years, think about it, you've got a whole new body, a whole new mind, if you want it, but it means constant reinventing. And if you don't reinvent yourself, I think you'll just be who you were before in the past. And if you're happy with that, that's great. If you're not, you can change. Are you ready for the inspiration revolution? The revolution of where we revolt against what we've done before. We decide to move forwards. We be like one of those people that has beaten the odds against cancer. All of those people who have beaten the odds, most of them will say, I believed that there was something more. I believed there was a force outside of me that I could tap into that would help me heal my body. I believed that part of the reason I got sick was because of how I was living my life. I believed that I had to let certain parts of me die, and I believed that my future was better than what I had today. Let's not wait for a diagnosis like that. And if you have a diagnosis like that, it doesn't necessarily mean it's over. Life is a game. And, one of my heroes, as many people know, is the basketball player Michael Jordan. But Michael Jordan wasn't Michael Jordan without the help of coaches. And one of his coaches was a guy called Phil Jackson, coach of the Chicago Bulls and coach of the LA Lakers. And he helped Michael unlock the potential. He helped Michael bring out even more of the greatness that existed within him. We're all far more capable than we think. And Michael Jordan said many times that every time he played, he knew that there would at least be one person in the crowd that had never seen him before and would never see him again, and he was playing for that person. And I'm playing for you. I might never see you. You might never listen to anything I ever say again, and this might be just the catalyst that made you go, that's it, I'm moving forwards. I want more, I'm going to be more. And I don't want to be like everyone else. I just want to be a better version of myself. Guys, thank you so much for being here today. If you want to find out more about what coaching can do for you, today's episode is brought to you by my website, petecohen.com. Go to petecohen.com/coaching. There's a free video on there. It's called 3 Secrets to Transform Your Life and for you to become the leader that you want to follow. Ultimately, you becoming the person that you want to follow, which I believe is the ultimate, that you become the hero in your own light. Go and check it out. We are getting on calls with people who want to know more about coaching, about helping you go from where you are to where you want to be. And that's free. So go and check that out. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please let us know. Email us and say, hey, Pete, this is Kevin from Kentucky. And you know what? This is what I'm working on right now. Pete, this is my question. Whatever it is, let's do it. We have this opportunity to be unstoppable every single day. Let coaching transform your life. The power of coaching. You guys are great. Enjoy the rest of your day. Much love to you all. Bye-bye.